Welcome to this week's episode of the Mind Soul Connection podcast. My name is Jaime Blaustein. I'm your host and CEO of the Sylvia Brafman Mental Health Center, joined by two others today. Of course, Ben Brafman, the co-founder and chief clinical officer of Sylvia Brafman, and his son, Jacob, who is obviously, family, and at the same time works in case management and alumni functions for Sylvia Brafman as well. Yes. So Jacob, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Looking forward to having you on. Today's episode is personal and professional simultaneously. And I'm going to let you guys run with the majority of this, but, we're joined by Jacob because he's had a really interesting journey. And as a result of that, Ben, you've had an interesting journey as both his father and a professional in behavioral health.
That's right.
And so you, through Jacob's journey of, having a stint in treatment and getting sober, have really had to wear two different hats. Yeah. And I'm really interested to hear about the interplay between those two roles that you've played. I think it's the first time that you've been in a situation like that where, the stuff that you've been coaching families on for so many years, you now actually have to implement yourself.
Right.
So I want to dig into that.
Okay.
It's a unique position to be in. But maybe, Ben, just tell me, what was Jacob like growing up?
So, first of all, I like this topic. We talked about this, and I think it's important to have this conversation. Jacob's a great kid. He was a great kid growing up. He was a natural athlete, and he was a curious kid too. He loved baseball. Now he loves baseball, football, but he really loved baseball. Made friends pretty easily. Not the greatest student in the world, right?
No.
And he had big shoes to fill. Because his sister was, she's a force of nature, so she's larger than life, and he sort of found his own way. Though was pretty good. To me, he's sort of the heart of the Brafman family, and kind of links it all together for us, which is such a great role. And to watch him do that, tremendous empathy and compassion. I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't mention the fact that, more than mention it, at 9 years old, we found a tumor in the base of his spine. As a result of that, he had two major surgeries. I think both were 9 hours each. He was paralyzed from the waist down, which was devastating to all of us. I wanted to crawl in a hole somewhere and never return again. He never once blinked and said, "I'm not gonna, feel sorry for me," all that stuff. He taught himself how to walk again with the help of a tremendous physical therapist, right? Physical therapist,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
And it went from there. And then we had, he has his little brother now. He's a great big brother. So really good. But he's had his struggles. With drugs, marijuana, and Xanax.
Yeah.
You kind of say that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think part of it has to do with that whole time period.
Sure.
Some of it has to do with some of his friends, just the lifestyle. He didn't hear the word no that many times. So stuff like that. So overall, he's just a great kid.
Yeah, Jacob, I heard a rumor that you were promoted to the esteemed position of chief morale officer of Ben's former treatment center when you were young, right? How old was he?
I think I was around 16 or 17 when I was first in it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I remember Ben told me that. Yeah. I'm not sure what that entailed, but it sounds prestigious. So.
Yeah. So it was really, it was good. It was really taking care of the staff and telling them and kind of just showing them to do events and kind of have fun with them.
You thrived at that. I remember that you were excited. You dressed up for work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know what, Jamie, you know what I really liked about that, and it speaks to what he's doing now as case manager, is that I wasn't his supervisor, right? I let him just do his thing with staff and everything like that. And he gained the camaraderie and respect of the staff on his own. Again, which is very consistent with Jacob as he was growing up. So that was very critical, so that it wasn't like, we went home and I was, berating him with questions,
right?
Comments and everything like that. No, I'm not even getting into that. That.
So Jacob, sounds like, you didn't have the easiest path from a young age, but, generally good kid, the heart of the family, as Ben put it, a lot of really awesome attributes. What led to your going to treatment? Like, what did that progression look like?
So really, I would say it started off with, I've always been an anxious person since I've been a kid. Even when I think about it now, I think I've had it. I had it when I was really young. I just didn't know at the time what it was. I just thought I was having these bad feelings, and I didn't know what it was. But now that I'm older and everything, and I know what I'm kind of dealing with, I really controlled or learned how to control it. And really what kind of led up to it was I was getting so anxious all the time, and using the marijuana and using the Xanax was a coping mechanism for me trying to escape my own thoughts, because I was so sick of being anxious all the time and being depressed all the time that I wanted to escape from it. So that's what my escape was with Xanax.
And Xanax, just so was my first love, I like to say.
Yep.
I mean, I was taking a lot of uppers, a lot of Adderall, Coke, but by 18,
that was on cocaine.
No. No.
So as a result, I needed to come down from that. The Xanax hit the spot and obviously led to a lot of disasters and unmanageability. So so you go to treatment, and Ben, how did you navigate that situation, right? Because
here's what I learned. I learned that this is a very humbling process. I know a lot about the disease of addiction and mental illness, and I've treated thousands of individuals and families. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm a father, and this is my son, and it's personal. And one of the things that I remember is when I was growing up, Carol O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker, he made a commercial, and his son died of a drug overdose. Basically, the commercial was this. He's on, and he stares into the camera, and he says, whatever you have to do as a parent, fair or unfair, get between your loved one and the drugs. That's it. That's all I have to say. And that hit me very hard. That made sense to me. I would get angry. I would get frustrated because initially I had all this, this knowledge, it meant nothing. And plus, you're dealing with, are you on the same page with your wife or with, other, his siblings, how are we doing this? And that gets mixed into it, where if I run a treatment center, I just say, okay, we're doing this, that's it, right. And we go for it. Very, very difficult for me. But I will tell you that one of the things that I've always been able to do is talk to my children. And I think Jacob, I think he trusted me.
Yes.
Right. I think he trusted me. We had some heavy conversations, and one of them was a conversation where he told me that he didn't want to live anymore. That he is just so overwhelmed with stuff. And so, not to make this, a little lighthearted, but I want to throw in a little bit of lightheartedness. I created this thing called the Brafman 5 that Jacob and I now we laugh about. So basically, what did I do? I gave you 5 choices, right?
5 choices. Yep.
So the first choice, and this is like an intervention. So
by the way, just the fact that this is a title, the Brafman, that to me implies it's like a framework that can be applied to a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Was it used prior to this decision?
No, this was the birth of the Brafman.
It's like
Five.
in business school we talk about Porter's 5 forces. It's like a framework for like analyzing.
So because I knew he trusted me, and because I had it. I mean, he's driving high. He's not going to school. He's in a terrible relationship, making terrible choices. So the first thing was, you can keep do whatever you want, but you're not going to talk to me and your mother ever again. You're going to lose your credit card. You're going to lose housing. You lose food, all that stuff, and forget your siblings. Number 2 was you can go to detox in Florida. That was kind of my soft approach. Number 3 is rehab in Florida. Number 4 was rehab outside of Florida. I have resources where he could have went outside of Florida. And the 5th one was my favorite one, was that you can fight me. And this is where it gets a little personal. Like I told him, we'll go in the back and we'll have it out and give him the first punch. And if he knocks me out, he can be the man of the house. Am I right?
Yeah.
And just do whatever you're going to keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
His Xanax infested mind initially thought, "Ooh, I've got 5 choices." Right? Talk about that for a second. Like when I was rattling this off, what was going
like? There's got to be something.
Yeah, you're like, I got it. There's a whole.
I mean, when he told me there was 5 options, I thought at least one would be somewhat doable and not terrible. And as he was going through them, and then he got to number 5, and I knew that those were the 5 choices. That was it. I knew that
he'd say like, just take 4 milligrams a day. Or
right. Yeah, reduce the amount.
Now I will tell you that I want to hone in on number 5 because it's funny. It's funny now, but it was so personal to me that I was pissed off. I mean, I was very angry at him, at the disease, at the same time. But I was no longer wearing my chief clinical officer hat, my business owner hat, whatever you want to say. I was a dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna kick your ass. I don't know what else to do.
Right. But how did you balance because like the anger, of course, and you said it was at him and at the disease, right?
Yeah.
With the compassion.
Yeah.
Right? Because full well, of course he's probably doing things that you're angry at, the behaviors, but you also know he's victim to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, what did that look like?
Well, it looked like it was a mess, and so I figured out that nothing that I say, no education, no coping skills is going to help him.
Mm-hmm.
What I did figure out is if I can appeal to him as a father to a son, and that I give a shit about him, I can get to him. I can reach him. And I think I was successful doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
So which option, Jacob, did you choose?
I chose detox in Florida.
Okay.
It was I will say my initial thought was to take the first one to not talk to them and just leave. I was thinking about that for sure, but my my choice was detox in Florida.
So just I want to talk about that for a second because the disease of addiction came to life when I presented the Brafman 5, and he was contemplating this keep using and do my thing. He even was like, my thinking is because I was like, you got to tell me what your thought process is because you sound crazy. He was like, I'm going to live in my apartment with my pregnant girlfriend. Pregnant by somebody else. We're going to have another kid after that, and we're basically going to live happily ever after, and there's nothing that you and mom can do about it. And I'm like, wow, the Xanax has got you bad. The pot got you bad. And so I knew that we were dealing with a delusional individual. He did the detox in Florida. It had mixed reviews. I think he even tried rehab in Florida. That didn't go well. And we eventually settled on getting him out of state, which he's still in contact with the folks over there.
Yeah.
And I think, overall it's helped him.
Well, what's interesting is you could say that the detox and the rehab was a fail in a way, right? But
Mhm.
in reality, it probably contributed to your willingness and surrender, right? Because I mean, I was in 7 rehabs, right? The
Mhm.
first rehab was this is not a disease and you're crazy.
Mhm.
The second rehab was, okay, maybe it's a disease, but I don't have it. The third rehab was, okay, maybe it's a disease and maybe I have it, but I don't buy the solution that you're telling me. Fourth rehab was, okay, there's something to be said for the solution, but I'm going to pick and choose what I think I need in order to be okay, right? By the end, it was, okay, I'm a dead man and I need all of this. And so my point is, like, you could view each of those in a vacuum and say it was a failure, but it was all part of the getting beaten down to where
Mhm.
I had my ears open, right? So we don't know because, we will never know. It's a hypothetical, right? But it probably got you further along in your process to just being open. And so you went out of state.
Mhm.
And this is the interesting thing is, Ben, you said you had relationships out of state.
Yeah.
You had a relationship with a facility that you had worked with professionally, right? You had
Right.
consulted with them, right?
Right.
They sought your guidance on a lot of clinical matters. And so
Right.
you had gone up there, once a month, once every couple months
Yeah.
to really help them fine tune their clinical program.
Yeah.
And so that's where you sent Jacob, right? And
Yes.
what was that like when you were there, Jacob?
Well, part of it was it was a little bit of a struggle just about the part of that my dad had so many ties to it that I couldn't have really done anything without being told to him what I was doing. I mean, they were really it was a great place. I mean, I give them all, not all, but I give them a lot of credit to why I'm here right now and why I'm still alive is because of them.
Mm. Ben, did you hesitate to do that, or did you have another layer of comfort that okay, they're going to take good care of him?
Yeah, I mean, so I made a decision based on my professional knowledge of the industry and really not wanting to send to some of the bad actors here in Florida.
Yeah.
But also as a father, I trusted these guys. So I felt good about that. But one of the things that we ran into, one of the stumbling blocks was that he couldn't go to the bathroom at this place without me knowing.
Mm.
And I finally, so from a treatment perspective, right? Good. Like I could, I get to know everything that's going on with him, and we can, he can't lie his way out of this. But as a father, I put an end to it.
Mm.
I spoke to, obviously friendly with the owners, and I said, listen, you guys are texting me about everything, and I go, listen, if that's the case, I'm going to pull him out because I can do that at home or whatever. Like I can't have that. Like treat him. I trust you guys. Treat him. He needs to be in treatment. He needs to be his own person. And I think you even told me, Jacob, that they were calling you Ben in some of the groups, right?
Yeah. No,
like,
it was
like by mistake, or
yeah. No, it was by mistake, but at the same time, it wasn't helping to the fact that my father has ties to it and that he's here once a month.
Sure.
But also the part when I'm in a group and they're calling me, I'm getting called Ben.
Yeah.
And I'm walking by in the hallway and they say, "Hey Ben, how you doing?" and everything, and and then the patients say to me, "Why are they calling you Ben?" Then it throws away why I'm there. I don't want to. When I was there, I didn't want to be known that my dad has ties to this thing. I just wanted to be a patient.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do my thing.
Yeah.
And we worked that out.
So Ben, what was the perspective of being a parent of a loved one in treatment different in reality than you projected it might be, given your professional role with families?
It's much different.
Easier, harder?
Much harder because, in some ways, Jacob has to make the decision to want to get this thing. And no matter what I said to him, he's looking at me as his father, not as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very hard for me. Lost a lot of sleep over that. And it damages relationships and it impacts my work, I actually utilize that now as a way to build trust with other family members professionally, and they identify with me a lot faster in our family program when I'm able to share with them that my son went to rehab. I had to deal with the balance of it and all of that. So I try to use it to my advantage.
So it helps you win confidence with or credibility, I should say, with families. Has it changed your clinical approach at all, or not really? Or maybe has it just made you more empathetic?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that I felt that I had empathy and compassion, but I have more now, and I'm much more patient now. It's very humbling. Literally, it absolutely does not matter what I know.
Yeah.
The knowledge that I have is meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. Here's what he needs to know. Jacob needs to know that I love him and that I'll do anything for him within reason, and that I'm here to support him and guide him and be a role model genuinely. And the rest of it is the rest of it. It really has nothing to do with. I could be a janitor. I could be a truck driver. I could be working on Wall Street. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And in fact, that I'm a behavioral health specialist or what have you. None of that matters. What matters is that I maintain that we're father and son and that we build a relationship together.
Yeah. My dad was a really bad addict. I didn't really know that until I was probably 18 or so and starting to struggle with my own stuff. The last time that I saw my dad, actually, we had overdosed together, and he was taken off in an ambulance to the hospital. Didn't die then. He died about a year later. And I just it's sort of unrelated, but I think it's a nice story. I remember sitting in your treatment center, Ben, at 21 with my therapist. Shout out to John Springle. And we called my dad, and our downfall was simultaneous. It was happening at the same time, right? I was in rehab and he was in a rehab. And I remember him telling me I have 90 days clean or something. And I was like, bullshit. No, you don't. And it was contentious. I remember that. And then, I get out of treatment. I was not able to really get it. And I was certainly not clean for a while after that.
Right.
But my mom, in a desperate attempt to shift something in me, told me, you need to go to this landmark forum. Okay. It was some sort of weekend seminar. A lot of, companies have their people do it, probably inspired by the 12 steps in some ways, sort of like a find yourself type of seminar. And they gave you little assignments to do. And one of the assignments was to call somebody that you hadn't spoken to in a long time, that's close to you at some point, and just tell them you love them, just randomly. So I did, and I called my dad. And that was our last conversation. He died a day or two later. So I'm super grateful about that because, I would have had a pretty bad taste in my mouth, I think, if he left, this earth with our last interaction having been, a negative one.
Absolutely.
And that's God inspired to me, right? I was pushed to do something that I would never have done normally. So yeah, in a way, this had obviously challenges your relationship and the different hats, but it's a really good ending, if you will. And it's not over. Of course, your relationship's going to continue to grow, and I'm sure you're still growing and evolving. And but I like to say, I really wish I could. I really wish that my dad could have seen me today, because he never saw me get it right, and things have he would be so happy to see me today. And I really wish that I could see him recovered, because I think he would have been just amazing, and I still, love him and I have good memories and all that, but he never reached his full potential as a result of having this disease. So, how is that, your experiences, how has that changed your dynamic today?
I think since I've been in recovery and everything like that, our relationship has gotten much better. I trust him really with everything. I did before, but even more now. Now I'm older and I'm more mature with things, and I kind of understand more, and I relate to him a lot. And but the biggest thing that I always got from when I was using, and we had the Brafman 5 and everything, but the thing that I always say about it is that he never disrespected me in the way that like he never treated me like I was anything less than an adult and his son. And I always, and he never took it personal. That was the other thing, is that I always tried to explain to them that I didn't want to do this to them. I was just doing it, and I never, but especially, with him, he never took it personal.
Yeah. And I know you're in school, and again, you're assisting with case management and some alumni stuff with us. How was your experience, and just, both of your experience going to treatment yourself, but prior to that, growing up with a father who's a behavioral health icon, how has that really, I want to be called an icon someday. How has that informed your day to day and how you do your job?
So I think it's honestly better. This is what I want to do for, really for my profession, is work in recovery. I think it's great. And I have great guidance. And so I'm very excited for that. So.
Amazing. Well, it was great hearing, it directly from the horse's mouth, your story. And I know it's just starting, sort of at the ground floor now. I'm very excited to see, how this relationship evolves, and then how your career evolves, and your life and your recovery. So thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, of course.
Really special story here. We hope that everybody listening and watching also enjoyed this. We'll do more creative things similar to this episode going forward. Once again, please like, share, comment on the podcast. We're on all the different places that you watch: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, the sylviabrafman.com website. Really appreciate any shares as we continue to gain traction and spread some message of solution. So thank you very much, and see you guys next week.
Absolutely.